is sensational for Cincinnati. Mitch Hildebrand, the hero, and the underdogs have prevailed once again.
I would like to present the USL Regular Season Championship to FC Cincinnati. Congratulations to the players, the staff, and most importantly, the fans on a record-breaking season. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your regular season champions, FC Cincinnati.
In a foot race, Cincinnati plays this across. Vasquez with the finish. Brandon Vasquez gives Cincinnati the 2-1 lead. A late breakdown by Red Bull.
Well, Dylan Nealis gets beaten, and nobody covers the streaking run. Unbelievable.
Montreal got under that. Oh! What a goal for FC Cincinnati! You couldn't dream that any better. Goal of the tournament. Maybe the history of the tournament. Alvaro Barreal makes it 2-0.
They have done it. Cincinnati, your 2023 Supporters Shield winners. A first trophy in their MLS era, and now they celebrate. Top of the Supporters Shield race since May. They never look back. And now a piece of silverware to show for it.
And they've gone for the long-range efforts. My word! That is spectacular! That is a goal to savour for a lifetime! An I was there type goal! Look at Orishano with an iconic strike at TQL Stadium.
CF Montreal just go to sleep when the ball goes. Was whistle dead, and Orishano just takes a peek, looks up, and doesn't even need to touch the ball. And how about this technique? Just absolutely perfect.
Lifted into the penalty area. That's Bauer, and that's Will. That's saved, and that's Surridge, and he still saves it on the line. Look at 60 seconds for Roman Celentano.
A double save, and he knows everything about it as well. First the punch, but then he gets back to his line. That is sensational, because he goes low for that first one, but look at him get up again.
Rajano gets the cross away. Bicycle kick! Wow! A top-class finish!
The Flyin Lion says,
boys, hell is...
The Flyin Lion says,
boys, hell is real.
2023 Supporter Shield champs.
So glad that I can be back with people who know that it's a Flyin Lion.
It shows how much we all love this club.
Yeah, just a fan of the sport, you know.
It's definitely tougher to be an academy player than it is a pro.
In this club, you don't play just for the club. You play for the club. I'm here for the fans.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome back to another live edition of the Flyin Lion Podcast. Before we get this episode rolling, we got to show some love to our guys over at Homage, Sam. If you've been around Cincinnati sports at all, you already know their gear is elite, vintage feel, soft to the touch, always fit just right for us as we're rocking it tonight on this Monday night. We got some exciting news here, Sam.
Yeah, so we're going to be partnering with Homage, the whole Chatterbox crew. So for the next 30 days, starting today, March 16th, you can get 20% off site-wide when you use the code CHATTER. That's CHATTER, all caps, visiting the link homage.com/cbox. So C and then obviously box, or you can scan the QR code on the screen right now, and it'll be up throughout the entire live episode. But Ryan, I mean, if you're looking to get, a refreshed wardrobe with some fresh FC Cincinnati gear, Reds gear, Bengals gear, maybe your favorite team, if you're not from Cincinnati and you're just watching, this is the place for it. Look no further than your friends from Homage.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, that link is Chatter, all caps, to get 20% off. That's all site-wide, by the way. The link, again, homage.com/cbox. I think Sam said backslash. I think it's /CBOX. Scan the QR code on the screen here if you guys are watching. But very excited about this and the opportunities. So we wanted to shout that out before we get this episode rolling, because what an up and down week for FC Cincinnati. Some high highs, some low lows, the lowest of lows we've seen in a long time. We're going to break it all down. So CONCACAF Champions Cup, again, round of 16 we had this past Thursday. We get a nice win against Tigres and then just completely didn't show up against New England yesterday on Sunday. So we'll break those down. Second part of the episode, some news just around the MLS, some World Cup news, some new jerseys. And then we do have some match day previews like we always give you guys. So we'll have that by the very end. A trivia question in the middle there to stay for the answer at the very end for that one. CONCACAF Champions Cup, Sam. Let's talk about the good stuff here. Everyone wants to hear about that. They don't want to hear about the Revs. Round of 16, we again played Tigres, leg one. Wild, turn of events since we recorded our preview. If you guys had all listened to our last episode, Sam and I both predicted a 0-2 loss. Maybe we should just say we're going to lose, by 2 goals for every game, because I don't know. We didn't have this information 24 hours before, but the day before, the information comes out that Tigres is stuck in Mexico.
Yeah. So if you guys obviously had seen, President Trump was in Cincinnati. And so due to him being in Cincinnati, the Tigres plane actually had gotten delayed and was not able to make the trip on Wednesday night into Cincinnati. So they had to settle for a flight on Thursday, which got them to their team hotel at 3 p.m. Kickoff was at 7. So obviously they're coming in jet lagged. But Ryan, I mean, no sympathy from us on that side.
It's crazy though. I mean, just the travel situations, it's never great for any team. And obviously we can say it because we weren't on the end of this, but if it was us, I'd be really upset too. You still got to go out and play, like you said though. So second straight year we hosted Tigres round of 16. Historically against Liga MX opponents, not bad, 4-2-3, but in CONCACAF Champions Cup, hadn't beat Monterrey. Well, I think we lost 0-1 to them, and then 0-0 or was it 1-1 last year to Tigres?
It was 1-1 last year at home, and then we lost 3-1.
Yeah, so the away was the loss, but at home, hadn't been fantastic, but the lineup, it was going to be a strong one from the start. We had our choice 11, minus, I would say, obviously Evander coming off the bench. We saw a little bit of a different tactical switch maybe from Pat Noonan. We wanted a little bit of a response, from the Toronto match. Roman again in the back, Ramirez, Hadebe, Robinson, and then we get Flores that makes the start there. Right center back, Ender Echenique, with Samuel Giddy being more of the number 6, Sam, and then Obi and Pavel Buka a little bit higher, dueling 8s, maybe playing more of hybrid 10s, and then Tom Barlow and Kévin Denkey. What do you think of this tactical switch by Pat Noonan?
Yeah, I think this solely, it felt like a high press, immediately when you're kind of looking at the lineup when it comes out. Your original thought when you see just on paper, Giddy and Buka will be higher up. No, it's actually Obi that'll be higher up with Buka. So that was definitely a kind of a surprise there. But once again, he brings that 6 energy up to the forward position. And so it worked out. But yeah, Hadebe back in the starting lineup, and then you get Evander on the bench for this one. Wasn't quite ready to start possibly, but you see him later on in the match.
Yeah, all good shouts. I think for me, with what we saw, I think understanding it after the fact, I think they wanted to get one of their more attacking players kind of linked up with Giddy, or we wanted Giddy to kind of be on him. They play with a 4-back, they play with more wingers, so this setup made a little bit more sense, and especially on the press. We wanted to come out with a high press, especially knowing, again, this team is coming basically off of the plane, rolling into TQL and right away. And let's say it, Sam, pretty cold environment too. Yeah. I looked at match time down in Monterey, mid 80s. In Cincinnati, I think it was 40 degrees, but it felt like 30.
Yeah, it felt that way on the pitch. Yeah.
So it was cold, and that was a factor. So we had to come out and kind of lay it to him. So early on, Kévin Denkey gets a goal right away, 6 minute, something we've been wanting, all season in big competitions, especially, against a Tigres team like this. You come out, you score early. It all comes from a mistake that Guzman, their keeper, plays, and Ender's in the right place. Kévin Denkey gets a goal right away, 6 minute, something we've been wanting, all season in big competitions, especially, against a Tigres team like this. You come out, you score early. It all comes from a mistake that Guzman, their keeper, plays, and Ender's in the right place. goes down, plays a quick ball across to Denkey, who slots it away. 1-0, just like that. Denkey loves it. He can just tap it right in, and we're off to the races.
Yeah, once again, like you said, a high press, making things happen, and just things to come. Honestly, the whole match, and so as the match kept going on, not really. I mean, it was kind of back and forth. Tigres had some really good chances. Roman made a couple 1v1 just incredible saves to keep FC Cincinnati ahead in this one in the first half, and so Ryan, as you're going into the first half, I mean, you're looking pretty good if you're Pat Noonan, because I think, you had some other chances from maybe Barlow and some other guys. So you're up 1-0 going into half against Tigres, and it felt like you could even be up a couple more, or, vice versa. They could have had a couple. So it's kind of even after that.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say, is like Roman's save in that 40th minute, the ball's played over, and it was very reminiscent to last season when Tigres played in TQL. They scored on a back post header. So same thing. Our guy got isolated. I think it was Flores. He misreads the header. It falls right to the guy, and Roman just makes a reaction save. And honestly, I mean, if it's 1-1 going into half, it's a different story for the rest of the match. Let's be honest. So he comes up big in a big moment there. We've seen him do it up to that point. Let's kind of for a second forget about the fact that the New England game happened, but up to that point, had been making some really good saves. So second half, though, we get a goal, pretty soon after half. All last season, Sam, we hadn't really seen that from this squad. We kind of had a little bit of a lull after half, and other teams like to score on us, but we get one in the 53rd minute. What'd you see in this play?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the pass from Echenike kind of opens it up to Denkey, and he's able to run onto it and use that speed, use the physicality to kind of ward off the defender. And shout out to Denkey for keeping his head up, because Tom Barlow is wide open on the back stick there, and he's able to get it to him, and Barlow puts it away. He's able to, I think he takes one touch and just puts it away in the left corner, but he was excited for that one. I can't say that, Barlow, maybe fourth goal so far this season?
Third,
right?
Yeah, I was just about to say. And
so the other goals, like he hasn't really like celebrated too much. This one meant a lot.
Oh yeah, big moment. I mean, nice pass from Denkey, like you said. Third goal for Tom Barlow, like didn't have it really on my radar that he would be up to 3 already. I think I had 5 for the whole season for him. He's already hitting the number that he had in Chicago in 6 matches or something. So pretty solid from him, but he's been playing a lot more minutes than maybe we would have expected as well. So yeah, we see a 2-0 lead, and everyone's thinking 2-0 is the most dangerous score line in soccer. Like something's about to happen, right? Tigres was lifeless in this match, and they just had, I mean, okay, they had a few chances, but otherwise pretty lifeless.
Second half, not really. Yeah.
He didn't really, well, they brought in Gignac, and a legendary Liga MX player you'd think would, make a huge difference for them off the bench. Didn't really have it. I think early on, some of their rotation got messed up. A few guys come down with injuries early on, and that messes up some sub patterns. But we take advantage of it is the biggest thing. I think that Buka had a chance, 76th minute, could have easily been 3-0 then. But 83rd minute, Sam, we get another Denkey goal and a brace on the night for him.
Yeah, this one, it little bit easier as far as the build up in it. Dotto kind of just carried the ball into space. There wasn't anybody that was kind of slowing him down, and
he nutmegs the defender first though to get to
yes,
that
yeah. So he nutmegs the defender first. That opens up the space, and Denkey's able to make a run towards goal. And there's just, so much space around Denkey. It's calm, cool, collected finish, outside the 18-yard box, and you're up 3-0 against Tigres, Ryan, and it's a party in the TQL Stadium.
Everyone go and look for Sam during this moment. If you guys go and look at the highlights, I think Sam might be behind the goal when it's scored, runs down and tries to get a nice action shot of the celebration there at the end.
Yeah, you think you time things right. You try to go to the other side, get some photos of the other side of the pitch, and you end up almost behind the goal. Like, do I save my body in the camera, or do I try and get the shot of his goal? And so I decided to keep the camera safe and my body safe as well, but got the celebration.
Bigfoot in the background, his hands are out like this, stuck behind the goal. But 3-0 against Tigres, who would have thunk it? The way that we had been playing. But hey, they came out and they did it. They took advantage of it. For me, of the situation. Again, like no excuses. Some very salty Tigres players, by the way, after this, the goalkeeper was a little upset with Kévin Denkey. We'll see what comes of that. But we came out and scored early. It got him out of rhythm. And I think that could be a huge thing going into the second leg. The press worked really, really well. Probably best press we've seen in a long time from this team. What were your takeaways?
Yeah, same to you. I mean, high press was incredible. I think the block shots were even more impressive on the back line there. Tigres could not really get a clear shot all night, and that only helped our attack to be able to, counter those chances. But yeah, the match was getting a little rough at times, but FC Cincinnati managed their emotions. I think, a lot of times you maybe see FC Cincinnati kind of falter a little bit, especially when you play the likes of the Crew last season. It was like, hey guys, let's keep the emotions in check. Let's not, get too ahead of ourselves if we're not getting calls or we're not getting, this or that. I think FC Cincinnati did really well of going, hey, you're going to push me around? Okay, I'll just go around you and score a goal.
They tried to get in our head. I mean, we took the lead, and I think Flores gets into a little bit of an argument with their players, and I think they were hoping that would kind of turn the tides for them, if we're being honest. Yeah. And the one critique I have of this match is that Miles goes and supports Flores in this moment when there's that little scuffle there, but none of the other players are going to support their boys. Go and support them. But maybe that would have been worse, and maybe that would have gotten more into their heads about things. But you're right. You're pretty level-headed.
Well, yeah, I know. I had told you if Miazga is on the pitch in the first half, he's getting a card.
That's definitely a card for Miazga there, 100%. But stats that come out of this, largest margin of victory over a Liga MX team for FC Cincinnati. That's pretty impressive there. We like to see that. A pretty good team, by the way. I think they're fourth in Liga MX. So by no means a slouch. They're historically up there. Kévin Denkey recorded his 12th career game-winning goal, which is, again, the most by any FC Cincinnati player in the MLS era. Shout out to Kevin. We knew that was coming. And then he also became the club's all-time leading scorer in CONCACAF Champions Cup with his 4th and 5th career goals. And he gets the assist on the night. Pretty solid performance by Kevin. Pretty complete performance by our number 9, I think, ultimately. But Roman also gets some accolades, Sam.
Yeah, his 150th appearance for FC Cincinnati, becoming the 4th player in club history to reach that milestone, joining Yuya Kubo, Nick Hagelin, and Luciano Acosta. So once again, just a staple in the back for us between the sticks. Nice to see that. But Ryan, I found some stats that I'd put out, I believe, on Friday morning. But FC Cincinnati right now in Champions Cup play. That's very important because we'll talk about some other stuff later. But most goals in Champions Cup right now was 16. And then we also have the best goal conversion rate, which is 35%. So that takes your shots right versus, your goals. So 35% of the time that we're shooting the ball, we're scoring, which is pretty impressive. And then obviously we're tied for clean sheets with 3. So, I mean, looking really good in Champions Cup play.
Yeah, real quickly, shout out to Flores as a part of the clean sheets. I feel like Gilberto has just been a stud in those competitions. Recently, he's really kind of risen his play and didn't back down from any of the Tigres players. So I wanted to give him a quick shout out. But as Sam kind of made our transition here as we go to the New England match, I feel like FC Cincinnati of Champions Cup is like the SpongeBob meme with his big muscles. And then it gets the MLS play and we're just the round SpongeBob with no muscles because
Ryan, you're supposed to put those out. You have
I almost did. And I just don't think people would, I don't know. Right now they're too upset to even think it was funny, I think. But now I can laugh at it now that I've had some time to simmer. But
yeah.
Match day 4 was just a disaster. The first 20 minutes, okay, solid, but the last part of the game just abysmal. So prior to this, last season, we won both meetings against New England. I think Sam probably shouted this out last match if you guys go and look that up. So you can thank Sam again for the misfortune for this team. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. But the last 12 matches against them, we've been very even, 4-4-4 against them. Something had to give. Revs searching for their first win of 2026. Again, we just love giving teams their first win. Starting lineup, Sam, huge rotation. What'd you see?
Yeah, especially from the Champions Cup match, large rotation. I mean, you talked about having a strong squad. against the Champions Cup or against, Tigres in the Champions Cup. This one, we thought it was going to be rotated, but not this much. I think you get 7 changes total, and Teenage Adebe, Ender, Flores, Samuel Giddy, Buka, and Denkey all start on the bench. And
Not going to be a good result when that.
Well, the only takeaway is like you look at the lineup, you go, oh well, Evander's back in the lineup. He should be able to carry the load of those guys being out. Maybe let's give Evander some time to shine, right? Because we really didn't see him much against against Tigres there. I think he played maybe 19, 20 minutes, something like that.
30, I think
30?
he ended up getting maybe.
Yeah, so obviously he's back in the lineup. So you're like, oh, awesome. Should get a lot out of him. Not so much. But Ryan, we got a youngster making the debut though.
Yeah, Andre Schirilla, 17 years old, making his MLS debut. I was very intrigued to see him playing in this match. Like ultimately, like it ends up not being great, but I still think this guy's got a lot of talent. Put some, maybe other people around him, but he had Miles next to him. He had, Brian Ramirez next to him. So maybe not really an excuse for some of his play, but again, he's young. He's 17. Like, what were you doing at 17? But if we're gonna roll him out, he's got to be able to perform. He's got to be able to do it, and it really kind of shows our depth or lack thereof. Now looking back at it and kind of seeing with where we were at, I felt again fairly decent about the people that we started, but we have Anunga kind of as that number 6. We had, I think, was it Dado and Evander were playing a little bit higher there in them, or actually, sorry, we had Dado and Obi, and then Evander plays a little bit more advanced there. So clearly that didn't work for maybe 20 minutes. It did. To me, the very first kind of moment that we look at is Dado kind of going in 1v1. Maybe the one prior to that, Andre Schirilla makes a kind of one-on-one with Carlos Hill. But 19th minute, like Dado just kind of paves his way, very similar to the DC United goal he scored last year to win that match. It was an individual play, though, and I think that was very reminiscent of the rest of the game, if you would say, Sam, like because it was a whole bunch of individuals. It was a non-team effort from 20 minutes on.
No, yeah, and I do want to give Dado credit because that was a really impressive finish. He kind of finished in traffic there, being able to put it to the left of the keeper. I just thought it was phenomenal finish, and you're feeling good up 1-0, thinking like, well, we're not really playing our best ball right now, but we're already 1-0 up. Like I'll take it, right?
Boy, were we wrong.
Yeah, boy, were we all wrong. And little did we know, 6 minutes later, the Revs would tie it up on a set piece, right?
Yeah, we get 2 that are banged in against us, and it's 3-1 before half. So the third one is again a cross, and Miles just gets beat one-on-one, his matchup there. The guy has a full run at him where Miles is standing still. So the guy can run on it, and Miles has got to be better, I think, about marking him. He gave the guy too much space in the box, let's be honest. But going back to the set piece, at the moment, that was the second one that we had given up on the season. And then the third goal, again, another set piece. So now the third one we've given up in the early MLS season. It's just awful defending. So for me, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think we play a little bit more of a zonal marking for set pieces? Clearly something's got to change, right?
Yeah, they were looking for a set piece coach, weren't they?
I think that was aimed at more offensively, but maybe the defensive side needs to be the press.
If you're a set piece coach, why would you not coach the defense as well?
You're not wrong, but
that's what I like.
How many set soccer coaches are there that play both sides of the ball though? Or that are more aimed at defense and offense. I mean, at a younger age, you have a lot that need to be able to do both. But I mean, at the very highest level, Kenny Arena is more of your defensive guy. And I think that Dom Kinnear was more of your attacking guy, at least at the MLS level, right? At pieces, I don't know.
But at that level, you should know a degree.
You should know both sides.
You should know a degree of both,
right.
At least, right? Especially if they're hiring a set piece coach. I would want you to do both. But yeah, don't know if we ever hired one. So maybe, maybe this is the lack thereof. Who knows?
It's awful defending.
But yes, I think on, specifically Miles Robinson, I mean, he just gets caught ball watching on that last goal before half. And going into half, Ryan, I mean, you're thinking like, okay, let's try and recoup here. And yeah, Pat Noonan was, I mean, he can say all he wants in the press conference, but clearly he wasn't happy with the effort there, and makes 3 changes right out of the second half, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get I think Jabari comes out right away for Barlow. Denkey comes in as well. Obi comes out, not necessarily related to Obi's play is what Pat says after the match, but more just kind of like where they had the ball or where we had the ball. He said something along the lines of like Evander had to drop deeper to get the ball and like a spacing issue. It was just a bunch of interesting comments, let's just say. But we just wanted to get more offensive. Clearly, we were down 2 goals and we needed to search for it. But even bringing in, the starters we did, Ender Echenike was the other one. Brian Ramirez comes off.
Yeah.
So Ender plays on the left. He's playing out of position. He's not as effective, going down the left, as he is on the right and being able to torch people that way. But it was just a poor effort and a poor collective performance. Like Miles is on and comes off like late because we were down so many goals, but like that was one of his worst performances we've seen, unfortunately, and I think Roman has a horrible match. He's playing in front of the U.S. men's national team goalkeeper coach too. And he has a 3.3 on FOTMob. Like not every one of the goals was, obviously on him, but it just was not, it wasn't good. Like from top to bottom, just completely burned the tape type of performance where I don't even want to talk about goals 5, 6, 7, whatever it was. Like, cause you just knew that by the end, the players didn't want to be there. They didn't want to be there after halftime, Sam. Like I think their eyes went straight to Tigres. Like, oh, well, we've already lost. So
yeah. And well, so Ryan, I got the perfect photo that encapsulates what this game was. And I mean, if this doesn't tell you what our defense was doing entire game, look how many are ball watching, right?
Yeah.
5, arguably 6 players just standing there as there are literally 3 players within a couple feet of the 6-yard box.
Good shout.
Not like
there was just a lack of like getting back on defense. Like, didn't you feel like, I felt like in the first half, even the game was in slow motion. Like it just felt like we were kind of just like walking and like, there was just no collective like press like we saw on Thursday. I think you do so well with the press and then you kind of roll out a little bit of a different personnel, clearly different personnel, but similar with, the dueling 8s or whatever you want to call it. So, let's press those guys up a little bit more. Well, it completely exposed us. Their Linguini guy had 3 assists at halftime.
Yeah.
Like, because they just ran down the side. I don't think Brian Ramirez was tracking back like at all. For me, I want to ask the question because I haven't really seen it put out there anywhere, Sam. If Ender Echenike can't play on Thursday, we haven't heard anything about this, and we'll talk about it later. Why was he not playing and starting to start this match?
I don't know.
And if Brian Ramirez had been playing so many minutes, like the guy looked gassed early on. That's why he gets subbed out at half. I mean, he got absolutely torched down that wing. Obviously, he's got a youngster next to him, but you still, I mean, there's no pressure on the ball out wide, right? Then we text about this. And so they had just free reign to play balls into the box and just score headers, So if Brian was out of gas, like play Ender. If Ender can't even play on Thursday, like that makes the most logical sense to me. But
so mentioning Thursday real quick, somebody in the comments said, if we don't advance over Tigres, is it time to talk about Pat? Hold on, we will talk about that here.
Yeah, we'll be here shortly.
Yeah, in the next 10 minutes. So we will answer that question. But Ryan, I mean, the stats of this one does not look good. Currently, FC Cincinnati sits 11th in the East, but some highlights in the lowlights, if you will. Evander recorded his 20th assist for FC Cincinnati, making him the 3rd player in the club's history with 20 goals and 20 assists in all competitions. And then
he gets the assist on the Dado one is hilarious.
Yeah, I know. But that same 20th assist made him the 4th player in FC Cincinnati's all-time history with 20 assists in the club's MLS era. So he joins Acosta, Barreal, and Ledesma in that one. So pretty cool. But also you get to see Matt Miazga back on the pitch. First appearance since September 13th, Ryan, 2025. He looked okay. I mean, I think he was trying to command the back as much as he could, but I think the snowball had already, started down the hill.
Yeah,
at
that
point.
game was too far gone. Like, definitely some goals that they score at the end, not necessarily on Matt, like fully, but I think everyone was just checked out after goal, 3, 4, but you shouldn't lose in this fashion if you want to be any sort of challenging team. Like, we can still go and win Thursday and move on. And I still would look back at this and be like, New England beat us 6-1. I mean, that's just embarrassing. A team that's been at the bottom that maybe is now starting to fight back and show something, but I mean, there's no excuse. Like, you got to come out, you got to play, you have to have some sort of heart, some sort of pride. And there was none of that. Like, at minimum, I said this after the Toronto match and we lost 1-0, but then you get 6 goals scored on you. I put it out, Sam. I'm going to end my rant here soon. Prior to this match, we had given up 2 goals the whole season. 6 goals in a single game. What did I say in the preseason match against Orlando when they scored 3 goals, in quick succession? I said it will be key for this back line and this team, once they get scored on, to not let it snowball. What did we do against the Crew in the playoffs? 4 goals, right? They cannot let teams score and then just keep scoring. Like, there's got to be some sort of switch. So
I think, I think it's
in your eyes. Do you think that's on Pat? Is that on our captains to be like, look, we let one in, we don't let another one in the rest of this game?
I think Pat can only do so much from the sidelines at that point. I think you and I have been calling for a voice, right?
Yeah.
On the pitch. There hasn't, once again, we're not there. We're not, obviously hearing things that happen on the pitch, but to us, it seems like, like you said, they let in a goal and everybody's just down. There's nobody that's like, hey, let's go. Like, it's going to be good. Like, we're going to get the next one, or, no kind of positive mentality, right? When you're on the club, even when you're down like 1-0, or something like that. But Ryan,
can't let the snowball. Can't let
exactly.
the snowball happen.
Got to stop the bleeding at some point. And Pat Noonan, the post-match thoughts, he said a lot of things done poorly today, not a lot of answers for what we saw. But on the flip side, he did say it's 4 games. So there's plenty of time to get things right, but that doesn't make the result okay. And he said, our play was below the standard. That's pretty evident. So we'll analyze things that we need to analyze, and we have to turn it around quickly because we have Tigres on Thursday. And doesn't really matter how many changes. It shouldn't justify the way we played. He's talking about the lineup changes at that point. And he said, hopefully the roster as a whole, guys can see opportunities that there were and can be motivated by the chances that were. So what, I don't know if you want to kind of lead into the next topic, or do you want to touch on any of those quotes before we get into it?
Yeah, just one kind of quick point that I'm thinking about it is like, this could potentially be like the worst timing to have 6 goals scored on you, like at once, or the best time. Like, I could see it going both ways. Like, you could definitely have a response after this and being like, they're just not scoring on us, for a long stretch, and the defense just really turns it around. And what gives me hope is it wasn't the same center backs, that were together. Like, we saw Flores, we saw more of Hidebe. Like, we'll get Miles back in there. We'll get these guys going for Thursday. The thing that is rough is you see 6 goals go in against you. And like, how does that change your mentality going down to Mexico, where last season we go up 1-0 and they scored 3 goals right away and they come back and win, Sam? So you got to switch gears fast. Thursday, you got to say this can't happen. So the timing part of it, I think is interesting. Collectively, like you said, a collaboration of poor performances. Like, we've had several of those in MLS play. So what changes in that setting? What gets guys up for Champions Cup matches that don't get them up for MLS? And why is that standard different? Is it against, lesser teams that they think, oh, we're just going to go and handily beat them? And, oh, Tigres, we actually are going to play. Something's got to switch there in a mentality sense. But the big question, so to the question we had here, thanks to Cruz 513 for this question. Again, if we don't advance against Tigres, is it time to talk about Pat? Should we be calling for his head or for the firing of Pat Noonan, Sam? It's understandable from a sense of like the results in MLS play are not good enough. And this should be, let's be honest, the low-hanging fruit of the season. Like Atlanta, okay, you win that. Toronto, you should win that. If we look at what Montreal is coming up, we should win that. And then New England, they just completely destroy us. So to come out with only potentially 6 points out of this amount of games is not great. It's obviously the beginning of the season, but the way it's happened, the continuation from the last season, and just the lack of like effort in the way it's happened, I think Thursday we might have some conversations if we have a 3-goal lead going down there and it quickly evaporates or we get beat. Like, I think you have to ask some questions.
No, yeah, and like you said, the frustration is understandable. We're frustrated as much as I'm sure other fans are, and as well as like inside the team, right? But the club sits outside the playoff spots early, not really a place we're used to being in the past couple of seasons, despite having players on our roster like Evander, like Denkey. And once again, you go back to, I think you're always looking at 2023, right? Going, hey, how can we replicate this again? Because it was such an anomaly, right? Being able to the full season just dominate in home and away. And so the expectations then shifted, right? Simply from making the playoffs to, hey, we're competing for trophies every single year. So to that, I don't think Pat Noonan deserves to be fired right now, or, I mean, the discussion can be there, but I don't think the action should be there, considering if you look at the bigger picture, right? He took Cincinnati from the bottom of the MLS to a Supporter Shield winner in just 2 seasons, won Coach of the Year also in the process. And at the same time, this club is still 1 win away from going to the quarterfinals of the Champions Cup, somewhere we have never been, right? So, I mean, if you want to continue to, hold him to high standards within the MLS, absolutely go and do that. But his resume still earns him time. So the real question,
Thursday, though?
I know. So to me, the real question isn't like, whether or not we should be calling for his firing, but rather looking at a broader picture, and has FC Cincinnati plateaued underneath him, or are these just early season growing pains? And so, like you said, Thursday will indicate that, whether or not we have plateaued and you've kind of seen, hey, we can't really go up from here in the formation or in the style of play that Pat's putting out there.
We've never been this bad to start the season in MLS play, but we also, like you said, have not advanced past this round.
Never been this good in Champions Cup.
So does that moving on warrant, a little bit more time? Of note for everyone listening, Pat Noonan's teams historically have dominated April and May. His teams really start to click. Look at the multi-win streaks we've had over the last few seasons, April and May. Not that I'm saying anything now is justified. Clearly, like, I'm upset about what had just happened, but we start to hit our groove around that time. And I really think, like Sam said, if we give a little bit more time to this team, maybe we see a little bit more of that come out. And maybe more of the tension of the team has been on Champions Cup. We had been calling, let's make a final. So maybe they see this as, hey, this is our run. We have a full length season, 34 games to go and make playoffs and then fight for MLS Cup. All you got to do is be in the playoffs, right? It's still not acceptable. The way it's happening, it's not acceptable. Like, I would have been okay. I hate saying this. I would have been okay if we lost on Sunday, if it was a goal, 2 goals, 3 goals. 6-1 is just not, that ain't it. So you got to ask questions with that part of things. And I just think that the standard has to be better. You talked about 2023, Sam. The moxie has to be better. Like, look at how that team just went and found ways to win, to get results. Like, do you see any guys walking around on the field right now with any sort of moxie or like any sort of like, no, I really don't. I see a lot of walking, but I don't see a lot of like, we talked about Berhalter, right? Sebastian Berhalter for Vancouver. That's 4-1 or 4-2 up, against Portland last week. And he makes a 90-yard sprint all the way down the field, slide tackles the guy and stands over him and says, look, I'm here. and we're up by 2, but I don't care. I still tracked your butt down and beat you to that ball. Where is that from this team? Like, we saw it a little bit against Tigres, but I got to see it more.
No, and you got to see it against opponents that you're going to see every day, which is the MLS, right? You got to see it within your own league. But Ryan, to go back to this Revs game, there was another big storyline, big headline in, at least FCC land, which was this Evander no call on a possible red card. I believe the player gets a yellow after the play, but after the match, you see that Evander actually puts on social media on his Instagram story, calling out pretty much the pro refs, saying, "Hey, like, do I have to get my leg broken for you to look at this?" And so I'll put it up here, but I mean, this is just one image. I mean, clearly the ball's gone, right? So
yeah,
he's not getting any of the ball and sliding straight
tackle
into the lower ankle area.
For context, this game's
area.
like completely out of hand, by this point, and like the guy just makes an egregious tackle. That's a clear red, like, for sure. And then you see the Dado one. So this is kind of what begs the question is, like, does the Dado situation versus the Evander situation, like, are they equal? And like, Dado clearly steps on the guy's foot and there's intent and it's bad. But like, this guy runs through Evander's leg. Yeah. And like, if our star's out for multiple months because of this, like, I think that's kind of what he's saying is like, I just got off of injury and you almost cleared me out and I could have been out for way longer. Like, where's the accountability there?
Do you think that changes that changes the match at all? I think maybe it was 3-1 still at that point.
It was 4. It was 4-1. Yeah. It doesn't change the match. We looked lifeless through that whole time. Maybe a man advantage. Sam, when have we with one man advantage been able to do anything?
Nothing. Yeah. Never.
Come on. I hate to say it. I really do, but it wouldn't have. But it's weird that he calls it out publicly. Like, clearly he's frustrated. This
is the second time he's done something like this.
And it's not us trying or him trying, at least, begging like, oh, the result would have been different. It's like, clearly we got killed, but like, he's more just being like, there's got to be some accountability so people don't get injured, out of this. And then, the last kind of big storyline I'd bring up from this match is like the impact of Pavel Buka is clear on this team. Like, okay, somebody made a comment and said like he hasn't had the greatest start to the season. Okay, but when he's been off the field historically, this team is a different team. That guy goes out and puts his all in the midfield and commands everyone. He's the glue guy. I mean, we've said it so many times. So I think maybe we lose if Buka's, on the field because everyone else still has to play. But like, we don't lose maybe 6-1. I feel like Buka would have not allowed that to happen, let's just say. So I think his impact is huge on this team.
No, and I agree. I think obviously Buka's that glue guy, and it is evident when he's not out there. You actually have a chance to win when he's out there. When you don't, very, very less likely. I'd argue probably maybe one win over the course of him not like starting that FC Cincinnati might have.
His plus minus was one of the highest in the MLS last season.
Yeah. If you're listening, you can go fact check that if you want to throw it in the comments if I'm not right. But to kind of move on here, we'll take a break, and Ryan, I'll give you the trivia of the week. We'll go into a break after that. But how many 5-goal losses does FC Cincinnati have under Pat Noonan in MLS play, including Sunday?
I got to know this answer. This has got to be number one time. The other one I think was it was 5-1 against St. Louis is what I'm going to call out. So I think this is the first time.
Okay. Ryan's going, this is the first time. We'll see what the answer is at the end of the episode, but we'll take a break here.
Hey, FC Cincinnati fans, it's time to upgrade your matchday gear for this season. We've teamed up with Homage to hook you up with 20% off site-wide for the next 30 days using the code CHATTER when visiting the link homage.com/cbox.
If you've ever worn their stuff before, it's that vintage, that super soft gear that actually feels like something you want to wear every day, not just on match day. So if you're gearing up for the FC Cincinnati season, baseball season, or just, Bengals off season in general, and just want some merch for your favorite team, now is the time.
Yeah, like Sam said, the draft's coming up. We have opening day for the Cincinnati Reds. Go find any of the homage gear for the Bengals, the Reds, and most importantly, we're biased, but FC Cincinnati, we're rocking our stuff tonight. Shout out to Homage for their gear. Go get your homage gear while you can, as this code, again, is only for a limited time. Use, again, the code CHATTER, and you'll get 20% off. Again, this is for any purchase on their site. Go and check out the link again, homage.com/CBOX, CBOX, or in our social media bios that we'll have up here shortly. Show up to the next match day in some legendary comfort. Thanks again, guys. Thanks again for joining us tonight. Another live episode. Grateful for you guys joining in on a bad performance from yesterday, but a lot to look forward to coming up here. We have 2 matches this week, but on a losing MLS week, we'll call it, and just because of how terrible yesterday was, our cards of the week are coming here first. What do you have, Sam?
Yeah, my card of the week is a bit of a stretch, so stick with me on it. But my card of the week is Pat Noonan on natural grass at Gillette Stadium with FC Cincinnati. So Gillette Stadium put in natural grass prior to the match versus FC Cincinnati for the 2026 World Cup matches that they will be hosting. Huge plus, which is really cool. The last time New England played on grass at home, Pat Noonan scored in regulation in a shootout to help send the Revs to the 2006 Eastern Conference Final. So I would say maybe against FC Cincinnati, they just go back to turf, because before Sunday, the Revs hadn't beaten FC Cincinnati at home since 2022 in the U.S. Open Cup. So maybe if Pat would have played, it would have been a different match.
A little bit of a stretch there, Sam, but obviously both teams have to come in and perform to this. What's unfortunate is we didn't talk about it, but the Revs had 2 weeks to prepare for us.
Yeah.
So, I think that kind of stinks for us, that we've had so many matches and they've had 2 weeks and no other games. You still have to go out and perform, clearly. But the grass actually looked pretty good. Would you agree? I think it was good. It was ready to go for the World Cup there that they're hosting. But it's got to be interesting for them. That's an advantage for New England, playing on turf typically up there, or like we had seen, in Charlotte and other places. But
I don't know. FC was just better on the turf. So, but Ryan, what was your card?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Javier Mascherano of Inter Miami. If you guys saw this one, he on Saturday, they were playing against Charlotte, and he gets a red card, bickering with the ref. I think it was Guido Gonzalez, actually, and gets a red. He goes off, and, all the Charlotte fans are yelling down at him, and he's clapping him off. And it was just so funny, but also cringy. Just walk off the field, man. Take your red, leave, and prior to this one, I think the club announces that, Rodrigo De Paul and Messi aren't going to play 2 hours before. All these people are showing up, hilariously, there to support maybe their team, maybe not. We saw this camera. Did you see this camera in Charlotte? They had people that they were throwing shade on, that they were wearing Inter Miami kits, but they were oh, just picked up the sport this season. Or, oh, I'm a fan of Messi until he leaves town. And I just think that cam was hilarious. Spot on.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to do it. But as far as the Mascherano, I mean, you get a red card, you could do whatever you want. I think you see more of that in Major League Baseball, right? Somebody gets ejected, they go, okay, can't get any worse. So I'm just going to get my money's worth. So yeah, Ryan's
clapping off the fans down in the corner though.
Ryan's weekly Inter Miami card.
Yeah, so, there it is.
Yeah, got to have it.
There's got to be something. Oh, there's one more part of this. Yeah. Let's add to this. Their first game down there, I just saw, because it just pops all over your timeline. MLS is throwing it down your throat. But their new stadium opens in 19 days, and they still don't have all of the seats in their stadium yet. Clearly,
wonder how that's going to work.
Grass isn't down.
Yeah.
19 days. They don't have grass down on the field yet.
They're going to play on concrete.
I don't know, man.
Play some futsal.
It's bizarre. Flip side though, jersey swaps. Who'd you have for this week?
I had Kévin Denkey for my jersey swap, for all the hate that he got after the Minnesota match, after the Toronto match. He showed up and showed out against Tigres, 2 goals and 1 assist. Is actually his first match for FC Cincinnati with at least 1 goal and 1 assist, which is actually really surprising. But he showed fight when he kept getting knocked down. But also in the Revs match, surprisingly, once again, after only playing 45 minutes, he had the second highest XG of anyone in the match. So yes, there's still learning to do. But if the Denkey that played against Tigres shows up every match, watch out.
Yeah, I think Denkey's got to be consistent with it. But when he's been on, he's been dominant. It's just about getting him in the right spots. There's quotes that come out after the Tigres match about him dropping deeper, and we did get confirmation. It appears that Coach Noonan wanted him to drop back and kind of get on the ball and get involved. But if he's that far away from the pitch, he's got to make the run and get in spots too. It's just now about the guys finding him in the right spots. And we saw Dado do it. We saw, I believe, Ender. Yeah, Ender was the first one that found him as well on the tap in. So, yeah, if he can stay hot, we saw what he did in preseason. He scored like every single game. Let's see if we can, again, unlock Kévin Denkey.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, he's unlocking somebody else. Ryan, what was your jersey swap of the week?
Mr. Tom Barlow. Never thought I'd say it, but here we are. Tom's working his butt off up top. I love to see it. He scores a goal against Tigres. He's already up to 3 on the season. He comes in against the Revs. He almost scores in the 75th minute, chips the keeper, gets cleared off the line. Probably our most dangerous, shot outside of the Dado goal, obviously, but had the second highest match rating of anyone behind Evander with a 6.9. He only had 15 touches, but I felt like he was more impactful than some of the other guys on the field that had hundreds of touches because he just works. And that's what I want. I want just effort at the bare minimum. And so Barlow has earned his spot. Clearly, Jabari in the first 45 was just not the guy. But I don't think a one-striker system that we played also was the right tactic as well. But Barlow has done the most with the minutes he's had, Sam.
No, absolutely. I think you saw flashes from Jabari in the first half against the Revs, but just wasn't able to put it together. Good saves by
Sure.
Matt Turner in the back as well. But yeah, Barlow, obviously the effort is definitely there. I think you saw it against Tigres too, right? I mean, he physically, right, showed up and embodied some of the Tigres defenders to be able to put a shot on target at least. And so that's what you're looking for, right? You put something on target and hope that it goes past the keeper, or if the keeper makes a save, somebody else is able to get the rebound and kind of put it back in. But yeah, I like the shout for Barlow there.
There wasn't a lot of people to choose from, so
No.
we went with 2 forwards, even though we only had so many goals. But in other wacky FC Cincinnati news, at 1:27 a.m. last night, wonder what everyone was doing. Kévin Denkey was in his orange Lamborghini and unfortunately had a crash. He is okay. Per Laurel Failer, the report comes out. There was some speculation. Was it Evander? Was it Denkey? It appears that there was no alcohol involvement. I don't know. I don't know any of this. This is all reporting. Who knows what happened? It sounds like Kevin's okay, most importantly. He posts a photo of his orange Lamborghini pulled up getting gas, and his Instagram comments, grateful for life, referring maybe to the incident that just took place overnight. I don't know. Very odd. Very odd.
Once again, just weird timing. I don't know if it was like, hey guys, like I'm okay and I'm very thankful for my life after crashing my Lamborghini.
But losing 6-1.
Yeah, well, so that means that he on his way home, he had somebody with him that was like, hey, take photos of me at a speedway, I believe.
That's so true.
Yeah, with my orange Lamborghini after losing 6-1.
Were they showing him the photos of like the gas station when it happened then, or
I
don't want to joke. I really don't want to joke. That's awful of me to say. Again, like we are just happy that Kévin is okay. It was just so wacky. It was so bizarre. And I saw this. The first report I see is on Facebook of the Facebook group for FC of all places. And it's just kind of bizarre again, after what we've seen this week with everything else. Evander posting on his Instagram, Denkey's posting about his Lamborghini now, saying he's grateful for life. It's just, again, the timing is strange. But MLS, Sam, they announced their playoff schedule on some unrelated FC.
Great
Cincinnati.
transition.
Yeah, you like that? Same format from last season. Wow. First round is best of 3. Everyone loves that. Not really. But then, FC Cincinnati will be playing on December 18th in the MLS Cup final at TQL Stadium. So look forward to that. That's late, man. That's the latest one we've seen.
Yeah. I take out of all of this, right? The fact that the MLS will observe the November FIFA international window. So right after decision day, we'll have international window. But Ryan, they listen to us. No international break in the middle of the playoffs. We will have 4 weeks of uninterrupted playoff action in the MLS. I mean, they got something right. Now fix the format. Get rid of the best of 3, and you got a good product there.
Yeah, I think maybe by the time the schedule change comes around, they'll get it completely right. But at least you're right. They took out the international break in the middle of the playoffs, which just kills any sort of momentum, for the league.
I mean, at the same time, you don't want to give them too much credit because that's a no-brainer. I feel like anybody could have been like, hey, maybe don't do that.
I don't think they even cared. They just were like, no, whatever. Play around it. U.S. men's national team, Sam, we're playing in a World Cup. If you guys didn't know, in June, it's coming up, less than 100 days. The World Cup kit comes out today. And Sam, show the graphic here. We have pretty solid kits here, would we say? The one, if you guys are watching on the left, we have our stripes kit. The one on the right, we got our stars kit. Sam, give me a reaction. What are you thinking here with our new kits?
I like it. I do. The stars, maybe not as much as the stripes, but I really do like the stripes. It gives me that subtle nostalgic throwback, but the waves give it, I don't know, some kind of new wave, if you will, right? Do you like that? Yes. But to kind of give a little description background, so like Ryan said, the stripes kit features that American flag design, red and white stripes, and with the waving effect, and then the stars, you see a little bit more of a subtle, dark blue stars built within the jersey design. So, I mean, Ryan, do you feel the same way, where you're more team stripes than team stars, or do you like the stars better?
Give me stripes all day. Definitely like the wave. Yeah. The motion is nice. What's interesting is in the stripes kit, the center on one of the jerseys, they leave open if you want to get like the number in it.
Yeah.
So you get the number put in it. So the white there kind of helps with that, so you can see the number. But the stars, for me, it doesn't quite hit all the way, just because I think the stars are a little too muted. I think they could have popped those a little bit, maybe like a highlight of the stars like in white, or like an underlayment of that or something, because in certain lighting it's hard to really see the stars with kind of how dark it is personally. And that's why for me, I think I'm going to get the stripes kit. We're gonna have a ton of preview for the World Cup and kind of a build up to this. These just came out today, so go find them, anywhere you can find jerseys.
I mean, if you hadn't already seen them, then you're probably under a rock, because these were leaked like 3 or 4 different times from different people. Yeah,
right, exactly. And it just confirmed that the leaks were real, though. So, Sam, more of the same unfortunate results. FC Cincinnati 2 went up and played against New England Revolution 2. Prior to the first team match, they lost 2-1. They gave up a goal in the 7th minute. We had a game tying goal in the 86th, and then an own goal gave the Revs the win in the 87th. They have yet to find a win on the season, I believe.
Yeah.
We're searching with the second team. Again, new coach, ton of different personnel. Typically, they have Andre Chirilla in the back line. This one, they don't. I think that Stefan Chirilla was out as well with an injury, so he didn't play. They take on the Crew next, Saturday, March 21st in Columbus, 3 p.m.
Our Liverpool loanee, he started a goalkeeper for us, so his first cap with an FC Cincinnati squad.
If you're wondering what FC Cincinnati is doing with their international slot, they are using it on a goalkeeper.
SCC2.
Not on the first team, but on the second team. We're using that international spot in a very certain way. I don't understand it. Still,
And we're playing. Hey, we're playing the long game, Ryan. We're playing the long game.
Yeah, Mo Salah to FCC. Somebody out there has that as their like head. I don't know, their tag,
the username. Yeah,
somewhere. But Sam, on a more positive note, hopefully this doesn't turn to what. CONCACAF Champions Cup, round of 16. We're going down to Tigres, leg 2 in Monterey, 9 p.m. Eastern time, late night match. Can FC Cincinnati hold on? I didn't say are we going to win it? Can we hold on? Because Monterey is going to be a hostile environment. Tigres is going to be gunning for us. Guzman is going to be after Denkey the whole match. What do we see from this team, Sam? What's Pat Noonan going to roll out that's going to get this team through?
Well, whatever he did in the first leg, right?
I like it.
Yeah, so that is honestly that's the biggest thing that you watch out for is what you had said. So we had alluded to it I think earlier, but given some more context. So Kévin Denkey had said after the Tigres match that the Tigres goalkeeper Guzman had warned him at the end of the match, and so he had reported that to the staff so that way they can tell the Revs to look for it in the second leg here. And he said that they got away with a lot of stuff at TQL, which is always evident, right? Like we see it. And he says that for this leg 2, that he will need more security and more eyes on him. So obviously Tigres is going to play more physical. It's going to be, they're going to feed off their fans. I think you'll see the fans get involved in the game as far as whether it be a good call or a bad call, right? I think you'll hear it. So yeah, is FC Cincinnati going to hold on? I would hope so. Last year we went down in Monterey and we weren't able to hold on, right? I mean, we had a lead in Monterey, right? We go up, we score the first goal, and once again,
goal, by the way,
yeah, and let up 3 goals after that. So can we hold on to a 3-goal lead in this one? I don't know, Ryan, as far as lineup wise, when I said more security and more eyes for Denkey, do you think Miazga gets a start? Do you think Jabari, 6'5", bigger bodies, we need some more security for Denkey?
Nah, we roll it out the same, Sam. You said it. You said do what works, man. No, all jokes aside, I really do think like he's going to roll out the same center backs. Like he tipped his hand, especially for the Revs. Like all you got to do is not give up 3 goals to have it be tied. All you have to do, right? But no, I think you got to get Barlow in there early on just to be a workhorse. And then if you can, honestly, the biggest thing is if we can hold on for 45 minutes and sustain like relentless attacks from them and don't let them score early, like they're going to get frustrated. And if we can then by the end of the game have maybe Jabari there to play it up to Sam and to maybe fall to the ground, do something just to move the team up the field and just to waste time. You got to do that. I don't think Miazga is there physically yet to play in this match personally. I just think that in Hagelin, like he looked a little bit slow the last couple of matches. So I think Flores, a more athletic center back, is really the key. Hidebe, like he didn't play at all. He's got a knock maybe from the last Tigres match. Is he able to play and to start in this one? Buka will be back and he's going to be relied upon for all 90 minutes plus. So we got to ride the storm. We saw the wave after wave of attack that Tigres had last season. For me, we just got too far back, like at the end of that match, and we were not able to get out of our own half. So what are we going to be able to do that? Because Tigres, they love possession. And for us in this team, I've said it before, we like to counter. So we got to be able to take advantage of moments. If we can get one away goal, that would work wonders. I mean, that would go so far for us because then they'd have to score 4 goals at that point. So is it insurmountable? No. I mean, we just had 6 goals scored against us, clearly. And it's Tigres. This team's a lot better than, New England. It's going to be different personnel. The stakes will be higher. We'll be under more of a microscope. The boys better be up for it. This fan base is getting their pitchforks ready to go. If not, there's going to be some questions at 1 a.m. if things aren't answered and we don't advance. for context, I don't want to get too far ahead. Seattle, Vancouver is the other match. Right now, Seattle's up 3-0 as well.
Yeah.
So outcome of that is important. But Sam, the goal differential is important. If we have a higher goal differential and we come out of this one in good shape, we could host the more important leg of the home away. So that's also something to look out for in these CONCACAF matchups. Is the seeding or the home away is determined by goal differential. So again, the team just wants to survive. We want to hold on. For me, we're gonna lose. Very similar score line to the last time, 3-1. But we're gonna move on by the chin on our or on the hair on our chin. That was awful. But yes, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I've got 1-2. I think we lose as well. But we give up fewer goals than what you said. So hopefully, Ryan, this works like it did last time, and we had FC Cincinnati losing, and then they win by a lot. So maybe on aggregate, it's going to be 7-0, right, or 6-0, right? That would be amazing.
We could go down and just smack him in the mouth. Like that would be the most insane, just back and forth of MLS CONCACAF Champions Cup you've ever seen.
Would that? Do you think? So if they do that, right? Say FC Cincinnati goes down there and actually handles business. Do you think that's the most Cincinnati thing, or like not really Cincinnati at all? I say that because of the roller coaster that we've been on so far.
It's such a roller coaster. It's very Cincinnati-esque. We got to find a way to win the aggregate.
Yeah,
we got to find a way to win the aggregate. But if you come in with the mentality that you're going to lose, you're going to get killed.
Yeah,
you have to play in a positive way. You have to go out and press.
Yeah,
you have to do the things you did well in the first game.
If you're the team, don't listen to us. As far as hold on, don't hold on. No,
go dictate,
go win. Yeah,
go dictate play. It's so difficult. And again, for context, like Monterey is like very high altitude as well. Like it's hard to play in that setting, and it's going to be very warm. And we're coming off of very cold matches. The training this week, leading up to it, will probably be pretty darn cold too. So if I'm FC Cincinnati, do you go down early? Do you get acclimated to some of the weather there and the altitude? Does that help us, or do we find our way in? I know where you're headed. 3 hours before the match, Sam.
I was about to say I'd go early just in case Tigres starts to play some mind games. It goes, oh, our president's in town. I think
the airport's shut down.
Yeah, airport shut down. Nice try, Cincinnati. Yeah.
Might be some dark arts that are played there. Yeah, good point. But I really think if they come down to the end of it and they're in a losing way, you could see some shady things go down because they don't like losing. They don't like the way that they lose. They don't like not advance. I mean, whatever way you want to put it.
Yeah.
There's going to be some interesting things. So Kévin Denkey might have Lionel Messi's bodyguard for this match. We'll see. When he said, I'm going to let the team know and get more security. I'm like, interesting.
Okay.
Don't know what that means, but we're going to move on. Our last preview, again, Sunday's match day number 5. We're going to play CF Montreal, a team that is like interesting. I'm gonna say they're on a recent interesting form. They beat Red Bulls, and then I think they just lost to Orlando. I'm not gonna say they're trash because we've said that about the other teams and we've gotten stomped. So they're okay. They're 12th in the table right now. Historically, we have done well, but this is a different story right now. What can we expect out of this one? Thursday away at Monterey, Sunday at home at TQL, Sam. I think a decent rotation depending on how we come out of it again.
Yeah, I will say for this one, if you do advance in the Champions Cup, you don't have a midweek match. So
for a couple weeks, right?
Yeah. So does that play a factor into it as far as, hey, if my guys are still healthy against Tigres, I'm going to run, a similar lineup out because we need to win this match. Like this is a must win MLS match because once again, you don't want to four losses in MLS play right after winning your first match. Like that definitely doesn't look good. Yeah, you advanced in Champions Cup, but I mean,
Yeah.
would not look good. But yeah, I think that's what we can probably expect if Pat, looks at it that way, where hey, we do have a decent amount of time to recover, because I think they played probably that next Saturday, right? So
yeah, no, that's a good point. I think it'll be interesting how he plays it, just considering how we saw, the New England, but this one's a must-win coming up on Thursday. We didn't talk about it in our preview against Tigres, but do you think Evander starts in that one? We look so good without him against Tigres before.
I think it's one of those things where you want him to get going. So you put him in the starting lineup to get him going. His replacement scored while he was on the pitch, right? Like Dotto scored and Evander assisted. So, I mean, he did like Evander did something. It just wasn't up to what we expect and where his quality of play should be the whole season.
I got to see his collective effort on the press be better. Like that's the way that we played Tigres so well. And if one player is not going with that, it brings down the whole rest of the team.
What are your thoughts on him not challenging for a single header in his life?
That's you don't want to know what I have to think about that. I mean, you're right. Every single time the ball is up in the air around him, he just doesn't go in for the ball at all. But we can't have that attitude down in Tigres, Sam, is the only thing I'm saying. Like, I just don't know then, if we maybe start him and then have to pull him later to get more defensive. But then, I want guys to be able to hold the ball to kill time too. So I think you're probably right. You got to get him going. You got to get your star player kind of more integrated after his injury. So maybe it's a little bit of a slug, period after having a hamstring. But he's got to show up in a big moment. And I think that Sunday's match against CF Montreal could be that moment for him. I expect maybe like let's say a set piece goal, free kick or something that might get him going. What were you about to say?
If Miazga doesn't start against Tigres, do you think he starts against Montreal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. More likely to see Matt play on Sunday,
especially if you need this win and you need a voice in the back line. You put him in the back line. Let's go.
And let's run into this because we need to get some clarity. Is Ender Echenike available for Thursday's match? We'll ask around. We'll see what we can find out. There was issues potentially with him going to Mexico with the visa situation for these Venezuelan players. Will they even be able to come back to the States? We don't want that. Clearly we don't want him to be stuck. And they didn't even register him, before for the first round, against O&M, knowing that, I think. But he plays, only a half in the New England match. I don't know. I really don't. And if he's not there, it's got to be Alvis Powell then, right?
Yeah. As far as the
I know we had Kyle Smith there.
Alvis has played phenomenal with his time. He has played really, really well and has slotted in and made certain plays, whether it be with his crazy runs down the middle or, on the wing. So he obviously there's a reason Ender starts, but I think Alvis wouldn't be a terrible, replacement in either, match, to be honest.
Yeah, it'll just be really interesting to see because we've relied heavily on Ender getting down the line and playing so many balls across to him. So we need him in a good way. We need Brian Ramirez, to play like we know that he can, because last game it wasn't quite there. Buka is going to keep it down in the middle as well. But for this CF Montreal match, it looks like, Sam, you have a 1-1 draw as your prediction.
Yeah, I got 1-1. Just because I think to your credit, I think this Montreal team, there's a reason they beat Red Bulls. And Red Bulls team is, I think they're fourth in MLS right now, third or fourth. So the quality team, and I think Montreal will play us pretty decently. It's either going to be 1-1 or I think we kill them. I honestly do. Okay. The reason I think that is because, once again, history says it, and a part of me wants Evander, right, to get his mojo back, get some confidence back, get some swagger back. Like I need to see you put something into the back of the net, so that way you can get on maybe a streak, right? Like we saw during the summer there. But what is your prediction this one?
1-0. I just think a win in any sort, would be good, especially coming off of, it's going to be a very physical match on Thursday. They're going to get back, late or even on Friday. Then you don't really even have training. You got to find a way to win. It's going to be a pretty lifeless, boring game just because of that. But we find a way. I think, like I said, an Evander free kick goal or something like that, just to get 3 points would be huge for us. CF Montreal has, a couple of guys, especially their striker, who is very tall, very physical. The back line is going to have to kind of pay attention to that because, again, we just lost a ton of headers the last game. But how is the set piece defending going to change too? And how can we, again, find a more positive way at home consistently? We saw it against Tigres. We didn't see it against Toronto. We got to be able to consistently do our thing at home. They'll be behind the fans. It should be a pretty nice weekend. I think we could pull it out. Let's get 3 points and feel good about hopefully moving on, to the quarterfinals for one competition and then in the right direction, for MLS play. That would be nice to see and refreshing to have a solid full week that is like good for the team, not so up and down.
Consistency would be nice. Yes.
Yeah.
So in that, we'll kind of close it on that. But before we go, Ryan, got to give you the trivia answer here. How many 5-goal losses does FC Cincinnati have under Pat Noonan in MLS play, including Sunday's match? Ryan, you had said 1, correct?
Correct.
The answer is 3 times.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the first one was Pat Noonan's second match ever with FC Cincinnati, and that was a 5-0 loss against NYCFC in April of 2021. And then, Ryan, the one that you wanted to forget about, February 2022, the opener against Austin FC, was also a 5-0 loss. But I wanted to try and spin it in a positive way. So I also found the stats for the times FC Cincinnati has won by 5 or more under Pat, and it is also 3 times in all competitions. So obviously the most recent against O&M FC, 9-0. And then you get 2024 against Miami, 6-1. And then in 2022, you get 6-0 against the San Jose Earthquakes. So
interesting. And I also think what's kind of relevant as well is, you lose, you get smacked, but like for MLS play, that's, how many losses in a row? 3?
Yeah.
Historically, Pat's teams don't lose consecutive matches, like maybe 2, but not 3, definitely not 4. Yeah. So the Tigres match is kind of that win between it, but not in MLS play. I just don't see us having a negative result against Montreal at home. Like that would just be horrendous.
Yeah, especially on kids' night.
Oh,
come on.
Yeah, you can't do that on kids' night. But I just think historically and based on the trends, we've been able to kind of right the ship. So let's hope that we can do that.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see, Ryan. I mean, obviously like you said, Thursday is kind of the key that unlocks it all, and will help us out. But before we close out here again, I want to shout out, Homage. Go ahead and you see the QR code, above Ryan's head there. If you haven't scanned it already, go ahead and scan it. Get your 20% off. If you're listening, go and visit the link in our socials or the link that we said earlier. Support the pod, support our Chatterbox community. We really appreciate it. But thanks for watching.